It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap, and now my favorite part of the show, wherein, I guess what's in Tim's background. Tim, I'm pretty sure of this one, and thank you for the service that you're providing just for the graphic display, but I'm going to think it's your social security number right behind you, just as illustrative that there is something called the Social Security Administration with Elon Musk is now investigating. Am I right about that?
Boy, you are so close, Bruce, but not quite.
Okay.
I'm with Doge right now, checking out Social Security numbers.
Here we go. So you're right. So I was close.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
very close.
I know. At some point we were going to talk about this. I can't remember what segment it was in, but we're pretty flexible for oldsters. We could talk about this right now, real quickly. So the story was that he'd gotten it wrong because it was just a list of Social Security numbers that existed, but there aren't like 150-year-olds collecting it. However, there are people who steal Social Security numbers and use them for fraud. So I don't know where you were planning on going with this, but I mean, is there anything that you would like to add to this story right now?
Well, what's really funny to me, and which indicates that that he's probably onto something, was the 1875 excuse. Are you familiar with this?
No.
Is that apparently they're saying that COBOL doesn't have the ability to accept birth dates, and Social Security still runs on COBOL.
What is that?
It's a computer language.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a dead language. It's like,
yeah,
like
English in many of the secondary schools in the United States. No,
that as well. So it's a dead computer language. It had no ability to enter birth dates. So when people were using the COBOL originally, they would, if they didn't know a birth date, they would enter it as 0.
Oh,
and then the code was default that it would set that if you entered 0, it would say 1875.
I see.
And that's why
which I believe is a Taylor Sheridan series that will be coming soon to a Paramount Plus near you. I mean, gee whiz, so many of those. Well, that'll be interesting if it actually turns into something, because at first blush it seemed like something, but at second blush it seemed like a big boo-boo. But we'll reserve judgment on that. Meantime, I mean, I am so exhausted talking about Ukraine. They could drag me to the bargaining table right now. It's fine, anything you want. Yeah, Zelensky's he's a total ass and everything. No, I don't view it that way. Well, here's speaking of Musk again. So I saw a Musk tweet where he said, well, that everybody's saying, because Trump had said that Zelensky has 4% popularity, and the polls have shown Zelensky at like plus 50, which is higher than Trump's popularity. But then Musk said, well, that was a poll conducted by USAID operatives or whatever. So, and then I say, or I've heard that, even if you got rid of Zelensky, I mean, his opposition has rallied to his side now that Trump has been taking him on. So
it could have been which could have been his strategy all along.
Well, I mean, with Trump, the thing about Trump is, I mean, I don't know. You have to take everything with a pillar of salt, I guess. But did he have to go that far? Even if this is just going to end up where it was supposed to end up anyway, which is in some. And I guess all settlements are tentative, but especially with Vladimir, and I'm afraid to pronounce his last name because I'm afraid I'm going to mispronounce it the way that ABC News correspondent does that you chide so often. But whatever.
Rachel Scott pronounces it as Putin.
Putin. Yeah, right. So anyway, because and maybe we can wait out Putin because he's 72 years old, but seems hardy. So he seems like he's going to be around. But that whatever this settlement is, that it doesn't seem like it will last much beyond Trump's term, which maybe is the idea, just another kicking the can down the road thing. Here's my question to you. I can't remember. Remember when everybody was upset that he was kowtowing to Kim Jong-un? And I did use kowtow because it sounds like an Asian. It makes me very. but remember that, and I remember after he did it, and everybody was up in arms over this. How's he talking to this madman? And he stood there at a press conference, and I'll never forget. He said something to the effect of, "All right, we'll try this," and then he shrugged and said, "We'll see what happens." But it was like he wasn't married to the idea that he just did it. And I know people go crazy, and I do too, when he gets genuflects to these dictators and these crazy people, and there could be harmful effects to it. But I'm trying to remember, what was the upshot of everything that happened with North Korea? They're still around. I mean, did they
stopped firing rockets. They stopped firing missiles.
Okay.
That's all right. For 4 years, and then started it again after the Afghanistan pullout.
And they're also we're sending soldiers to help the Russians, right? Am I right about that?
We're sending soldiers to help the Russians.
Who did?
North Korea? Oh yeah, North Korea did. Yeah. Yes. Right. Yes, they did. Which I believe officially makes it a world war.
Well, you know what? If it looks like a duck and squawks like a duck, do ducks squawk or geese? Whatever. Yeah. So that's the difficulty with Ukraine. I'm just, and here's another thing. I swear Tulsi Gabbard in her confirmation hearings, because she had to say things that she didn't believe in. Okay. But she said, when she was asked who was the aggressor, she said Russia was the one that started this war.
Yeah.
Now, I know she said that, but Trump just the other day said that Zelensky started it. And of course, if you read, who is it, Sean Davis in the Federalist, he gives you this nice long history where he basically says there are it's kind of like the flip side of Charlottesville.
No good people in that.
On either side. He actually makes it, there's no good or bad people on each side. It's just one of these things that goes on and on and on. And, that's a moral equivalence that, I don't really want to fall for. But in any event, even the actual result looks to me, based on my, great study of history over the last few days, that it'll be a temporary truce. And once the Democrats get back in power in 2028, and that ticket is going to be Pete and AOC. I saw it on Twitter. So that's what it's going to be. It's going to be there. Then Putin will feel emboldened and will strike again. How do you think it's going to turn out here?
Well, first of all, I think the person responsible is probably Bill Clinton. Is that he swore that Ukraine would be protected if they gave up their nukes. If Ukraine had never given up,
no question about that.
If Ukraine had never given up the nukes,
right,
it would be there would be no question.
And now
Clinton should have said, "I'll tell you what, okay, you give up the nukes and then you're in NATO." And that would have solved the problem. I mean, he had the opportunity there. Or why don't you just keep your nukes? What the heck? What the heck?
Right. Well, and actually, you could see a scenario a few decades down the line where everybody's got nukes, which is kind of frightening. And and I will both be in that cemetery behind you right now. But I'm worried about
that. Is true. The corruption that is there was not. But I mean, that was number one. And then Obama let him go into Crimea.
Sure.
I mean, he should have enforced the Clinton mandate right there when they went into Crimea.
And then let's go for the trifecta. Biden,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Biden said, "You better stay on your side of the border."
Yeah, he almost meant it. Well, he said,
or else I'll crap my pants.
Well, I think he said, didn't he say that there would be some kind of incursion that he expected? Oh, okay. Why don't you just invite them in? Especially after you see, we're not going to do anything after what we did in Afghanistan.
Yeah,
So
you invade the Ukraine, we're going to put sanctions on vodka. So you better not.
Oh, yeah. You know that I'm looking ahead to 2028. You know that Mayor Pete and AOC they're going to be tested, and they're probably going to have to send about 50,000 troops just to show that they're men. And Mayor Pete will take a couple of months off, of course, to breastfeed his fourth child. But AOC as acting president might do it to show that she can't be pushed around. I mean, it is traditionally, hasn't it been Democrats who wind up, they're the peace party, but they wind up sending a lot of troops in.
It would seem Kennedy, Vietnam, Truman, Korea, Roosevelt, World War II, Wilson, World War I. Yeah.
Right. I think you got. Oh, okay. So a little history lesson right there. Real quickly. So JD Vance really scolded, and there's a lot I don't like about JD Vance, but I didn't mind him scolding Europe. I mean, no, fine, go ahead and do that.
That was his first campaign speech right there.
Okay, and I think he's the one. I mean, other people have said it. He said, pretty soon we're going to have a majority Muslim country, England, that's going to have a nuclear weapon. So, no, it would be.
I never considered that.
Yeah, it has been considered. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. So, this guy, Jeff Blehar, who writes for National Review, he came up with something that, I've studied the Illinois map my whole life. This guy just moved here. I think he's originally from Maryland, so he's been here for quite a while, but not a lifer like me for these many decades. And he noticed, if you take a look at the Illinois map, that it looks like Donald Trump. See the face on the left side?
Yeah, no, I had to look that up. I saw it. It's like, wow, that's kind of.
It looks like his head sticking up, in a kind of like a cocky position, and with a flat top. And I was pretty darn angry about it, because now there is a corollary to that. My contribution to this whole thing is, if you bite into like a single Kraft American cheese, if you bite into it, it will be shaped like Illinois. So I just, that's your dentures will make the cheese look like Illinois. But that's a real good one. That looks like Trump. And even Illinois was redder in the last election. So maybe the Borders Act, maybe the Mississippi shimmied a little bit and made it look like that, and hadn't before. So
my favorite is that if you look at it, it looks like a chef holding. If you look at the United States map, it looks like a chef holding a plate of fried chicken.
The United States.
Yeah.
Why don't we do? Instead of
I forget how it starts. But if you look at it, there's a hat, and then like Missouri is like the head, and then the plate is like Tennessee, and then the chicken looks like West Virginia.
I still can't imagine it, and now you're blowing my mind, man.
Well, I'm hoping that Chris is pulling it up as we speak.
Yeah, right. We're giving him time to pull up a map of these United States.
There you go.
So
Minnesota's the hat. Iowa's the head.
If Iowa's the head and Missouri is the torso, and then you kind of have to draw in a line.
Yes, Tennessee is the plate, and then Kentucky is the fried chicken. And then the
bottom half of the body is
the boot is Louisiana,
and Louisiana is the foot. And aren't I good that I can name the states with looking at a map without the names on there? Interestingly enough, I can actually tie this ridiculously stupid story that we've gone into right now. I could tie up a loose end here. So you've got the plate of chicken Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? Because that's Kentucky.
Sure.
Here's the thing. KFC supposedly just came out moving their headquarters to Texas. How about that?
I don't know.
So now let's see if we can flip the map around and see what Texas looks like.
Well, actually, if you look at it, now that you know that Illinois looks like Trump, he's actually kissing the chef.
He's kissing the chef, exactly.
So,
yes, and in honor of being the first candidate ever from a major party to be in favor of same-sex marriage. A lot of people, that a little bit of trivia right there. Hillary wasn't, Obama wasn't, nobody, Trump was.
Huh.
So yeah. All right. So here's a New York Post story about food stamps. And basically under some proposal from the USDA chief. Americans on food stamps could be banned from buying bad food and sugary drinks. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now USDA is different from USAID, right? I mean, there's another letter thrown in. That whole alphabet soup of agencies.
Yeah, it's the USDA.
Now, Tim,
AI.
If I've told this story before, just tell me. I heard it, Bruce. I don't want to hear it again. Okay, I can't remember. Have I ever told a story about the time I was the foreman or foreperson, whatever you want to call it, on a federal jury regarding food stamp fraud?
I don't believe you have.
All right. Does Chris remember it? Because Tim, you're getting a little old, long in the tooth. I'm just wondering.
I do not recall it. No.
Okay. I'm trying to tell the short version, but so I get called in. This is in 2007 for, and you can stop me at any time and say, objection, irrelevant, move on. Well, it is a courtroom story. So I get called for jury duty in 2007. Oh no. At this point, I have a show on in the morning at 4:30 in the morning on Channel 5. I'm already wasted the rest of the day, but I go to jury duty and I see that the defendants have Arab names. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm being put on a federal terrorism trial. My life is over. So it turns out that they were accused of link card fraud. The link card in Illinois, then I guess it still is, it's a credit card, but it's food stamps.
Right.
And the scheme was that you go into a grocery store on the west side of Chicago, as it happened to be, not all that far from where my father had a hardware store many, many years ago. But and these two shop owners, mini grocery store owners,
bodega, maybe a bodega.
Well, whatever it was, you'd shop in there. You'd have your link card, the food stamp card. You'd go in, you'd get a bag of potato chips, something else. You go up to it. The register rings up $100 for it. Okay. They give you back like 70, take 20 for the vigorish, and it was an actual $10 bill. And that's fraud. You can't use food stamps to do that, to
like
get around everything. So then you have the cash so that you can buy the booze and the cigarettes that you actually want. But now they're going to not even let you get sugary drinks. And I mean, that was already a health food. So it was interesting. So anyway, so in the trial, I mean, the feds had them dead to rights. And it was like 12 angry men in the jury room on a Friday afternoon. They elected me foreperson, okay, and which I was honored because there was like an assistant professor at Northwestern on the jury. There was, it was a nice cross section of people who were there, and they, based on, who I was, that I was an attorney, I understood the stuff. Although I got to tell you, because I was going in there every morning after the show that I was doing in the morning, I was trying to, prop my eyelids open a lot. I mean, when the feds are trying to prove a case, it can, it took more than a week, really. And wow. I'm used to things resolving themselves on Law and Order in about an hour. So we're in there and we have the original first vote, and it's like all guilty. Let's get out of here. And I go, wait, hold on a second. Let's talk this over. And I swear, a guy just like the Jack Warden character, I think it was, 12 Angry Men, goes, man, when it gets Friday afternoon, I got to beat traffic or whatever. And I said, well, hold on here. And after we finally did, it only took us a couple of hours to talk over the evidence. But the professor, the assistant professor at Northwestern, a woman, afterwards she thanked me because she didn't have the guts to say, hey, we should go over this evidence before. And so she thanked me for doing that. And so I got to read guilty 27 times to these two defendants for the count of the, all 27 counts.
So you
guilty.
wanted to look over the evidence? It wasn't the case.
Oh no, it was clear, but you just wanted to be, come on, you're there for a week or so. You go into the jury room, you're just going to vote guilty and not talk about the case at all. So you just wanted to be. Yeah, you're right. I'm an idiot. How can I get those people their time back? Anyway, the kicker to that story is that so we're in this. You've been in a federal courtroom. How majestic it is. I mean, the mahogany behind the federal judge, who's on a riser anyway, so he's majestic that way. It goes from the floor to the ceiling. What is that? About 30 feet of mahogany that goes up. I mean, it's just there. It's awesome. It's the muted lighting. It's very impressive. There were two defense attorneys. One of the defense attorneys in his closing argument, he mentions Chet Chit Chat twice to me, as Chet Chit Chat would have said. And I'm going, what? My jaw drops. And, I was wondering, is he pandering to me? Now, years later, I thought maybe he wasn't. Maybe he realized he had such a loser. He may as well just throw my character's name in there. But at the time, and I probably that
sounds to me like he was doxing you. You're supposed to be anonymous, aren't you?
No. They knew. There were people on the jury who knew who I was, but they didn't know my character.
How did you mention Chet? How did he mention Chet Chit Chat? How did you weave it in?
I'm trying to remember, but it was just something. I mean, he didn't go as Chit Chit Chat would go. No, he didn't do that. But he made some kind of, I don't know. He tried to tie it in, but he did it twice. So I think the second time was just because he figured I was so stunned the first time that I would have to pinch myself. But he did it on two occasions in his 15 or 20 minute closing argument. It was what a moment. You're in federal court. I almost stood up and ejected to the intemperance of the defense attorney for bringing up a fictional character that's in my sock drawer. So
that's actually old school. That's actually old school food stamp fraud. In Michigan, what they do is they just buy the cards.
Oh, okay.
They buy the cards outright, and then they take them to like another store, and then just buy like a bunch of soda and stuff, and that's how they restock their store.
Oh. Interesting little end run on the law.
Yeah, there was actually a viral video going around where it was we call them party stores in Michigan. It was an owner, and she was caught loading up her truck with stuff she had bought on food stamps at the Meijer. So.
Are there YouTube videos on how to defraud the government via a link card?
I just thought it was common knowledge that I don't know if the law is different, but in Michigan all the liquor stores have food and milk and stuff and baby formula, so they can
they can mix it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's 750 milliliters of baby formula. Here's a 6-pack of vegetables.
Unbelievable. But I had to. That's a great experience, and remind me to tell that story again next year when we do our next because we'll both have all three of us will have forgotten that story. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. We'd be remiss if we didn't bring up the fact that Rahm Emanuel is going to be a contributor at CNN, which, of course, he wasn't going to be the ambassador to Japan anymore because it's a new administration. But it just seems.
I think he's going to feel. I think he's going to feel tall there as well, though.
All right, there you go. At least we got one last Dakota joke in. I appreciate that. So, speaking of the meteor, boy, I mean, CBS has really gotten into a lot of trouble. Now, that there's this lawsuit that Trump has against Paramount, where the FCC ordered CBS to disclose the 60 Minutes full tape with Kamala or whatever. And
yeah,
I mean, I note that we were praising JD Vance on his speech in Munich, but he also said to the Europeans that they're putting curbs on free speech, which they are. I mean, it's awful. We'll get more to that later. But
that's what happens when you don't have a constitution or a bill of rights.
But here's the thing: his own administration is pursuing and got a settlement out of ABC, is forcing CBS to.
Well, that's not his administration, is it? That's him.
Well, that's Trump.
Yeah, those are personal suits. That's not.
Is there a difference? Is there a difference between Trump and?
Sure.
Oh no, I don't see the difference. I don't.
No,
see,
when the
JD Vance is in favor of chilling free speech and exercising free speech because that's what you do, I guess. But
no, is JD Vance suing anybody for?
It's Trump who's suing, but that's if you want to stake out the argument that JD Vance is against Trump's lawsuits against ABC and CBS, you go right ahead. We'll see how far you get. I mean, JD Vance is the guy who had called Trump Hitler just a few years ago and now is a convert. So, but it's fine. We'll debate that.
I don't trust JD Vance to begin with.
Well, neither do I. So we're we're on the same page there. But in any event, I'm actually in favor of the Trump lawsuit against CBS for this reason only. I view it, even though I don't think he has a legal right to stand on that one, that because I mean they're entitled to be biased under the Constitution, but
they're not allowed to. They're not allowed to give an in-kind contribution.
Well, that's the argument
by
right
turning an interview into a campaign ad.
If you want to go that route, boy, they may as well just throw out the Constitution at that point. But what I do think it is it serves as de facto reparations for all the bad coverage by CBS. Let's go back. I mean, I could go back to Edward R. Murrow if you'd like, but and McCarthy. What a bad rap that guy got. But I would just go back to Walter Cronkite and the way they screwed up the coverage of the war in Vietnam. So we could go that far back. So it's just reparations is what I'm saying. But now they're turning the First Amendment on their head because they don't even believe in the First Amendment anymore, because Margaret Brennan, who looks, she's pretty cute, I gotta say, and that counts.
Sure,
that counts. She's interviewing Marco Rubio, and she claims, just to read it from the Michael Tracy tweet, although we could both summarize it, I think. She claimed the Holocaust occurred because, quote, free speech was weaponized, unquote, in Germany. And Marco, to his credit, little Marco came through. He said, no, as I think Seinfeld once said, it was the Holocausting that caused the Holocaust, not free speech. As a matter of fact, as people are pointing out, let's see, hold on a second. I don't want to. As people are pointing out, I almost knocked off the computer right now. Little technical workshop, pardon my Eddie Schwartz. As people have pointed out, the Weimar Republic had speech codes. That was what Hitler used as a rallying cry. Look, they're suppressing my speech. So, the liberal answer would be, well, they should have doubled down on it. They could quadruple down until, you get to the point where you're killing millions and millions of people.
So Hitler wanted free speech.
Well, supposedly.
Well, boy, there's another comparison right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know how all these Hitler things, Hitler and Trump,
sure.
It's like the Kennedy and Lincoln comparisons.
Totally.
Both Kennedy and Lincoln were shot in the head.
Yeah.
Lincoln was killed in a Ford. Kennedy was killed in a Lincoln.
The secretary, that one. Secretary had Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy, and Kennedy had a secretary named Mary Jo Kopechne, I believe.
And then you get further down the list, it gets more and more stretched.
Well,
and it's kind of the same way with Trump. Hitler had a dog named Blondie. Trump had a blonde doggy style.
Anyway, so you got CBS though arguing for speech codes, and they're supposedly the the avatar of free speech. So it's kind of fun the way, but I think it was the most embarrassing CBS moment since Goober Pyle did his Cary Grant impersonation. I don't know if you remember that. It went something like this: Judy, 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 and he wowed Gomer with it. But I
do it again, do it again, Goober. It sounds just like Close My Eyes. It sounds just like him. I swear.
Didn't you love it though? And I have never seen Full Metal Jacket in its entirety. I've seen different scenes at different points, and maybe I have seen the whole movie, but I never saw it, from beginning to end in one sitting. Godfather 2 was like that for me too. But when that sergeant refers to him as Private Pyle, and then he gets blown away. Spoiler alert. Blown away. These boots were made for walking right out of the movie theater when I saw this was just too much.
I actually saw that one in the theater.
Okay, was that a moment? Cool. Is that a great moment when he not that getting blown away, of course, was a big deal, but just referring to him as Private Pyle. Oh, I know that. I get that reference. I know if you mention Otis Taylor, not Otis. What was Otis's last name in the Andy Griffith Show? It was Andy Taylor. Now I'm okay.
Otis the Drunk.
Otis the Drunk.
Yeah. Otis Le Drunk. It was French. Otis Le Drunk.
Anyway, I knew all the reference. I loved that I got that reference, and I liked the Nancy Sinatra song. And who doesn't like I told you the time that I worked with Nancy Liu on Channel 32. She the news anchor, and I did get her to say, "Me love you long time." One time, but she did not say it was Otis Campbell. But Otis Otis Campbell a running back? I think Chris. I'm not sure. Maybe that was his name. So I think maybe Otis Sistrunk. So, but she wouldn't say the other part of the line because. But that was pretty good. I would say one of my great media accomplishments. Anyway, so you've got CBS, and then 60 Minutes does this piece, which is very favorable to the German speech codes nowadays. And it was just those two stories went in tandem. Did they not?
Well, we kind of always look up to the Europeans. It's there's a certain strata in the U.S. that always admire, that has to copy whatever Europeans do. You hear all the time about their glorious health care, and around the turn of the century, people in the United States weren't that opposed to the idea of eugenics. It was a very progressive idea.
Well, that's Woodrow Wilson. That's Margaret Sanger.
It was based in science.
It
was the scientific consensus, and it was based on the new science of evolution. So
yeah. And now that we know that we spontaneously generated like barnacles in the ocean, now all that's gone to pot. All right, let's quickly turn.
Didn't 60 Minutes? There was a very famous, and I always get her wrong, but it was the 60 Minutes interview with Trump, where he said he wanted to talk about the laptop, and she just started going, Sir, this is 60 Minutes. We're not allowed to talk about that.
Hey, speaking of which, Kash Patel was on the day that we're taping this was confirmed as FBI director. So if they want to hide that,
we might be looking at the Epstein list.
Yeah, the great thing, the ultimate chutzpah that sometimes it's difficult to follow the trail of some of these conspiracies, but when anybody can understand that the FBI knew that there was it was actually Hunter's laptop for a year and a half and still tried to get social media to poo-poo the story. So,
right.
Yeah, that's corruption at its best. So,
and election manipulation.
No question about it. I mean, if you want to argue the election was rigged based on that, I'm with you. Okay, quickly, got to turn here to Megyn Kelly, who has had a tweet about how women can make it in the world. You too can be a Megyn Kelly. I don't know if we have this here, but it was just here. We got it. Oh, ladies, it is possible to make your own money, have your own career, pay for your own swanky New York City apartment, etc., and find a man who loves you, wants to have and raise kids with you, and wants to be with you and only you. The only thing stopping you, your decision to settle for less. And I would just add a corollary to that, to Megyn, who is that success story. It does help to be, first of all, it helps to be a bombshell like she is. But also it helps to be so driven to be in the limelight that even after you've made a fortune taking NBC for $30 million, bravo, you will still scrape before bankrupt souls like Tucker Carlson. If you don't have that drive, you probably won't make it, even if you are a blonde bombshell. So that's all I got to say to Megyn Kelly. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Okay, I'm going to limit the sports talk to this, I hope. So, and then the day that we're taping, the USA is supposed to play Canada in the championship game of some tournament I didn't even know about till 2 days ago. I think Al Michaels is going to say, do you believe in miracles, or do you believe in fighting right when the first puck is dropped? Yes. But no, there's this tournament, the National Hockey League, and it's infinite wisdom. They finally beat out everybody else because all the other games, all-star games, are awful. They decided, let's divide all the players according to their nationality, and we'll have a four nations thing. And everybody likes nationalism. So Trump, said that he was going to be rooting for the U.S. Against Canada, which will become our 51st state. So this might be the last time we get to face Canada. But what happened was, and this is that Claire Rogers, Chris, I think that's the tweet I sent you where you can get the tape of this, although you might get it anywhere else. But in the first game against Canada in this tournament, the Canadian fans booed. They actually booed the national anthem. And so after the puck was dropped, there was immediately a fight between the U.S. and Canada on this.
That's beautiful.
And it was hysterical. And, just a few weeks ago, there was a game in which a Blackhawk player scored within 7 seconds of the opening puck drop. And I got to tell you, that a choice between that and a fight as soon as the puck drops, I'll take the fight. Sure. Anytime. And it was beautiful. And maybe Chris knows better, because I haven't watched any of the series, were actual teammates on the professional teams fighting against each other during this nations tournament, because they're divvied up according to nations, and then they got to go back to being teammates. I was wondering if there was actually any fighting among teammates in this.
So it's actually nationality. So even though
they divided up national,
even if you're playing for a Canadian team,
right? It's based on where you're from. I think that's what how it's done.
Because don't we live in a world with no borders?
Exactly.
So humans illegal.
Who are the other two countries that are competing? You said four nations?
Finland and Sweden.
Well, Greenland, which is part of the United States, and
Finland and Sweden.
Finland
Really?
and Sweden.
No Russia?
They didn't let Russia. No.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, but when
that would have been some fights.
When Russia's invited back into the G7, that's part of the sweetener. Get Russia to be. Do you remember the Russian goalie in the 1980 Olympics?
I do not.
I believe it was Tretiak. Am I right about that, Chris? Do I get anything? Do I get anything? Anyway, I'll take that. Now,
I think these fights are staged. I think it's just a way for it was a championship that no one knew was happening. So they said, let's Let's put some ringers in the audience to boo the national anthem, each other's national anthem, and then we'll start a fight on the ice. And
well, I think they
everyone's
denied
gonna
that the
tune
fight
in.
They denied that the fight started because of that. But boy, there seems to be a causal nexus between the booing and.
I'd like to see some fighting in the stands. That would.
Did you see on ESPN today that the African American woman was saying there's only fighting allowed in the NHL because it's white people, and if it was the NBA, they would be calling it ghetto trash.
It'd be jungle like something. Yeah, but it's good to you got to bring the racial component into this.
That's ESPN.
Was that Jamel who did that? I mean,
it was on Stephen A's show, but it was with Mad Dog, that segment that they do. I saw the clip on Twitter.
That's so funny. Well,
fighting's always been a part of hockey, though. I mean,
not as much in recent years. It's kind of a frou-frou game now with lots of good skating and everything, and double axles. They don't keep score anymore.
You have to do a double.
How many goals? It's a combination. It's a very complex thing. It's the goals, but not just the goals. It's also technical proficiency and artistic imagination. So you can actually win a game like 7.7 to 6.6. And the late Dick Button was one of these scorekeepers. But anyway, so apparently Netflix is going to bid on the NFL games. The CBS and Fox contracts are up, and so the NFL could go all streaming within the next couple of years. And they've had a couple of games, and those have been okay. They were much better than the Tyson fight, which you didn't get to see. But it's possible that we're going to have that. And I was thinking,
well, who doesn't have Netflix?
Well, right. Everybody's got it. It's like de rigueur. You probably have Netflix more. You're more likely to have Netflix than an AM radio right now, I would guess.
Yeah.
But
I have an AM radio and I do not have Netflix.
Well, like you're in the
you're the
silent
outlier.
minority. So here's the thing. Everybody's got Red Zone, right? Tim, I know you like to watch like a fly. You have 8 eyes and you get to watch 8 football games at the same time on Sundays, right? So, Red Zone is absolutely the closest I'm ever going to come to like crack or some opioid. So I'll watch Red Zone on Sunday. And I was thinking, if Netflix does get that, I would love to get the contract. I would love to watch Red Zone on Sundays, 6 football games plus a Harlan Coben mystery. That's which is what we watch on Netflix all the time. So that would be great. That would be. It's an idea.
I've often thought that what they should do to make football more interesting to more people is that because you've got 5 other stations besides you got channel 2, you got channel 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. I mean, there's all the down stations. On one of those stations, they should be running, rather than the football game, they should just be running the cheerleaders and halftime show because those gals they put a lot into it, and as far as the marching bands and that's a lot of work. And nobody ever gets to see it because you hear ex over the hill football players talking about the game you just saw over. I think a lot of people would like
ESPN Plus does that for college football. They show the halftime show on a different channel on ESPN Plus. Yeah.
Oh, good. It's but I think on that other channel they should also have the cheerleaders, just the cheerleaders.
Oh, enough of that. Let's go on. So, did you talk about this last week? The Kendrick Lamar dealie last week.
Oh yeah, the Super Bowl performance.
I mean, was it because and by the way, thank you for doing the show last week.
Sure,
appreciate that.
My take on it.
Yeah,
it's. I want a halftime show. I want fireworks. I want costumes. I want dancing girls.
Well, you got that. You racist slut.
Really?
By the way, I was just.
I couldn't tell. All I saw was a GNX clown car and a couple dozen leotards. That's.
Well, I mean, I'm so dumb and blind and everything like that. I didn't even notice that Venus Williams was in the halftime. So, but to me, it was impenetrable, and I don't think
Was it? No, I believe it was Serena.
Oh, excuse me, Serena. Right. Yeah. So, don't tell anybody. You know that I once played ping pong with Venus. I know I told you that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's another story for another time. Peter.
That sounds better without the Williams. Ping pong with Venus sounds
right.
sounds like a.
Well,
sounds
she
like
didn't have any. She was the Venus de Milo. She didn't have any arms. So, but anyway, so look, I like most people, white people who've been here for 70 years and 10, or even less than that. It was impenetrable. I didn't understand a word he was saying. I thought
I was waiting for the transcript.
Yeah, well, I thought at one point he would have said. I thought at the beginning he said Alakazam and Alakazoo and Bippity Boppity Boo, and he might have, for all I know, but he didn't. All right. So, but I have an open mind. So I tweeted out, look, this is impenetrable, blah blah, and then this guy, he's the movie critic and also an arts critic for National Review, conservative, right? Black guy. His name is Armand White. Okay. And he's a real interesting guy because he's like impossible. He is difficult. By the way, I cannot read that tweet. Oh, here, let me, okay. Yeah. All right. So, so what was interesting was he wrote a good review of Kendrick Lamar. I mean, but even his review was, even though I understand the words, his reviews are impenetrable too, because he's just so lofty. This guy didn't like The Wire because he thought it reinforced stereotypes. Everybody liked The Wire. I like The Wire. Obama liked The Wire. You like The Wire, I think. Anyway, but he's really smart. So I just, and it didn't sound like Kendrick Lamar was just, like one of these rappers who is, thinks all white people are racist or whatever. It's almost like how Bob Dylan really wasn't part of the progressive movement, but you thought he should have been. Anyway, I'm not really sure about Kendrick Lamar, to tell you the truth, but this Armand White thought it's worth looking into. And here's the thing. As impenetrable as Armand White is, he's accessible. I've gone back and forth with him. I mean, how do you get, I could, give you, on one hand, the number of people of that stature that I'm able to talk to, but this guy will talk to you, even though I don't understand him. So anyway, I then saw Kid Rock was on some show, and he said something to the effect of, and we put that tweet up again from Kendrick Lamar. He said something like it's it was criticizing Kendrick Lamar, and he said DEI, and he turned it into IED, which I thought was kind of clever. It's an IED. And so I told Armand White that, trying to impress Armand White. He says, "Oh no." He responds to me. He says, "Readers of Reading Right have already been familiar with changing DEI into DIE, die, for several years now. Kid Rock switch is poor for a rap lyricist, Bruce Wolf, Chicago." So it's like, I'm just trying to get, I get it. I'm a little sophisticated. Oh no, you don't even know what you're talking about. So it was just kind of funny. So I give up. Yeah, halftime shows. I mean, me, it's J Lo and her teammates doing what they had to do.
My favorite halftime show, still, bar none, is the Katy Perry.
Why?
It just was everything a halftime show should be. She rides in on this enormous lion.
Okay. I mean, I wish I liked her music. And anyway,
yeah, it doesn't matter whether you like her music or not. There's a little shot Chris is showing right there. Yeah. There's dancing sharks and beach balls and palm trees. Yeah, I mean, right. It just complete candy. And then she rode out on a comet. A comet lifted off and then out of the stadium. Yeah. It was
it's almost like an Olympics opening where James Bond flew into the London Olympics, which was pretty good. And we'll talk about James Bond next week, and whether they're going to, because Cubby Broccoli's wife gave up the franchise. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I just learned that today. It's been 3 years now that Amazon has owned MGM, and I just found out about it today.
There we go. It's MGM. Maybe James Bond will be coming riding in on a lion one of these days. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.